What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to your very last video lesson for the school year. Last lesson today, 11.4, volume of prisms, cylinders, and spheres. So if we think back, it's going to be similar to 11.3 when we talked about surface area. There are technically a lot of different shapes that we could do volume of, but because of our lack of time for the end of the school year, we're only going to do volume of 3 shapes, right? Last class we did 2 shapes, just our last lesson, surface area of prisms and cylinders, right? Now for volume, we're going to include spheres as well. Okay, so you can think of volume as the amount of space that fills up a 3D shape, right? A 3-dimensional shape. So when we combine and think about all of the different things that we've learned in chapter 11, right? Area is the amount of space within a 2-dimensional figure, and therefore volume is the amount of space inside of a 3-dimensional shape. Surface area is the amount of space covering the outside of the surface of a 3-dimensional shape. Okay, so think if you draw a square on a piece of paper that's 2-dimensional, the area is the amount of space within that 2-dimensional square. A cube, like a dice or a box that you get from Amazon or something, the outside surface would be the surface area, right? All of the amount of space of cardboard that makes up that box. Whereas volume would be the amount of space that you can fit the things that you bought from Amazon in that box. Okay, so that's the difference between the area, surface area, and volume. Okay, so like I said, imagine filling a box with sheets of paper. Paper is basically flat, right? You can think of it as a 2-dimensional shape. It technically has some thickness to it, but it's more or less flat and 2-dimensional. If you find the area of one piece of paper, so if we look at this box, right, we have a 4 by 5 by 10 box, right? And if our piece of paper fit this side of the box perfectly, it was a 4 by 5 piece of paper, right? That would be the area of one sheet of paper, and we slide that in the box, right? It's basically the area of this side of the box. Now, if we continued filling in the paper this way, this way, this way, all the way back, you can continuously put the sheets of paper in the box until you get the whole length, right? 10, whatever that unit of measurement is, you have now filled the box with a bunch of rectangles that have an area of 4 by 5, right? And that's how you can find the volume of a prism, right? Is just finding the area of your face and then multiplying it times how far back it goes, right? In that sense, you have found the volume of this box. Okay, so volume of a prism or a cylinder, basically, I already said it, find the area of the base or the face, right? Whether that be a quadrilateral, a triangle, or a circle, and then you just multiply it by the height or the length of whatever that shape is. And so this is an overall rule of finding the volume. Now we'll go in and do the equations for all of the specific types, right? So volume of a quadrilateral prism, right? Length times width times height. So if we find the area of this red square or this yellow square, right? Length times height, that's the area of one face, and then we multiply it by how far back it goes, right? The volume of a triangular prism, you got to find the area of the triangle face, right? So base times height divided by 2, and then you multiply it times that length, right? So again, if you like that paper example, imagine having a triangular piece of paper, right? You find the area of one triangle, and then you multiply it by how far back it goes. That's how you find the volume of a triangular prism. And it's the same concept for a volume of a cylinder. You find the area of the circle face, this base, and then you multiply it by how far back it goes. If you have a circular piece of paper, you find the area of that circular piece, and then how many pieces of paper does it take to fill up the entire thing. You multiply that times the height. So the volume of a cylinder is pi r squared times height. Okay, now volume of a sphere, a little bit different. We haven't really talked about spheres. Spheres are actually you see spheres all around, all the time, right? The most common thing that I think of as sphere is just basically almost any type of ball that you play a sport with. But equations for both surface area and volume of a sphere are pretty complex. But in the end, it's not too bad because you just have to know one variable and you just plug it into an equation, right? 4/3 times pi times the radius cubed this time, right? So you have whatever the radius is, you have to multiply it times it. You have to multiply it 3 times. So for example, if the radius is 2, you'd be 2 times 2 times 2 to make it cubed. Okay, so if we just go through some examples, also fun facts, right? volume can sometimes be a lot easier to calculate than surface area as well, right? So for this rectangular prism, you literally just multiply these three numbers. So we do 14 times 9 times 6, and that gives us a volume of, let me find my calculator, 14 times 9 times 6 gives us 756, okay? Finding the volume of this triangular prism, right? We have to find the area of the triangle. So the triangle would be 24 times 18 divided by 2. We have to do that first, and then we multiply that times the length, which would be 8, right? So 24 times 18 gives us 432. 432 divided by 2 gives us 216, and then 216 times 8 gives us 1728, and that would be the volume of that shape there. Okay, for volume here, we have to find the area of the circle and then multiply it by 12. So area of a circle would be pi, radius is 8, so 8 squared times 12. Do 8 squared first. 8 squared is 64 times pi times 12. So just type that into a calculator. 64 times pi times 12. That one we're going to have to round. It comes out to 2,412.7, right? And then for the sphere, remember the equation is 4/3 times pi r cubed. So here in this example, they give us a diameter, not a radius. So the diameter is 30. That means the radius must be 15. So that means we just plug in 4/3 pi times 15 cubed. Remember, cubed means multiplying it 3 times. So 15 cubed is 15 times 15 times 15, which just right there is already a huge number. That's 3,375. So we have 4/3 times pi times 3,375. Right, and we just multiply that out. I already have 3,375 on my calculator, so then times pi, and then times, I'm going to put 4/3 in parentheses on my calculator, and that comes out to 14,137, and if we round to 0.2. All right, that's how you find volume of there. All right, so pretty basic. All right, in the end, is just plug your numbers into your equation. Pretty simple for our last lesson of the school year. It's been a pleasure trying to teach you online. It's been a challenge, not only for me, I'm sure for all of you as well. But if you made it this far into the last lesson video, I appreciate all of the work that you've done this year. And hopefully next year we can go back to a more typical, normal school year, and we won't have to watch any more lesson videos. So good luck next year. Go Mustangs.